done it. I have finally found where the dragons lay their spawn. I shall kill them all. No more dragons. But what is a medieval guy if he does not have dragons to slay? Will I have a purpose? What does it mean to be a medieval guy without a cause? Who am I kidding? I hate these guys. Die, baby dragons, die! This is Medieval Guy. He's a medieval-only Iron Man. That means no magic, no rune crafting, and no magical items inconsistent with medieval lore. Together we explore RuneScape and compare it to the medieval world of Europe to learn what life was like for people then and how it informs our gaming today. Join us as we compare Galenor to the real world that inspired it. Oh well, welcome back to another episode of Medieval Guy. So I am taking a break from my ridiculous grind of killing Dagonauts. Let's just take a look here at the loot tracker. 111 Dagonauts slain, with only one piece of the hide that I need. I do have 5 pieces of Dagonaut hide, just not the shaped hide. And I did get the spined gloves, which is a nice upgrade actually. So that's kind of cool. But I thought today would be a really good day to just take a break, maybe do some questing, and kind of talk about something that's been on my mind about kind of how medieval games and even fantasy games approach equipment and upgrading equipment. Because that's obviously like a huge part of this game. I mean, as they say in World of Warcraft, it's all about the gear, right? And very much for Medieval Guy, it's all about the gear. I mean, yeah, our stats, need to go up, obviously. But I mean, we could get these to 99, but we're never going to get to endgame content if we're still using the Dragon Crossbow, right? So discussions of gear has been kind of one of the mainstays of this series so far. And I want to continue on that track a little bit today as I do a little bit of questing and try to get my Slayer up a little bit. It's currently sitting down at a little baby 47. I want to get my Slayer up to 55. Reason being that the leaf-bladed sword becomes available at 55, assuming that we go kill a couple of Kirasks. So, if we can do that, then we will be in a great spot because the leaf-bladed sword actually is a competitor to the Dragon Scimitar. And as you know, I do not use scimitars because they are evil Saracen weapons, and I killed a bunch of those guys in the Crusades, and I really don't think it would be, polite of me to go use their weapon. I just think that would be, really insensitive. Medieval, he's very sensitive. On second thought, I'm actually going to run back in here because my task is almost done, and I really should just kill these last 6 dragons. Okay, I've been saving these bad boys up for a little bit. I think I talked to Thalassa or something, right? Do I trade these frog tokens to her? Oh, yes. I thought that I had to have 1 token for each. Oh my, look at him. Oh, he's so dapper. Oh yeah, we're looking good now. I don't remember if I actually showed you guys, but I did get a heron pet while I was fishing, so I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, I don't really... it's... You know what? It's just cool. Obviously, one thing I do have to be careful of is I don't think I had a mill to insure this guy. I think he's just been sitting in my bank. We're gonna go get a task from Vanica right now, just so that I know what my next task is, but we're not gonna do it right now. We're actually gonna go do the Fight Arena quest. I think it'll be a really fun one to do. It's, just very straightforward. Just go fight some stuff and, free some prisoners. It's some good old-fashioned questing. And we have to get a bunch of quest points in order to get into the Warriors Guild eventually. So that's kind of a big deal. We do have to get our quest points up quite a bit. So that's going to be a real struggle. So I'm going to start working on those quests. Vanica, give me something I don't have to use magic on. That's a terrible song. Please don't punish me for that. Assignment. What do we got? Vampires. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. 12 vampires. Easy peasy. No problem. Just hop on over to Mauritania and kill those guys. That's going to be cool. Gotta love killing vampires. It's always fun. The lack of teleports makes this so slow. Just run through everything. I answered that wrong. Whatever. It's fine. Jagex doesn't know the answers to these questions either. more than anything about all the HD clients that have been coming out, I really want to see this place redone in HD. As a kid, this place gave me like actual heebie-jeebies, right? And then you come down here and you got this like creepy little cradle. It's so good. It's so creative. It's so sneaky. Obviously, Medieval Guy is going to take the fighting boots here. That's absolutely in his character. I'm sorry for all the memes. Let's check this out. Attack bonus, magic range, defense bonus. Yeah. No, I mean, rogue boots are still better, but you know what? It helps with our fashionscape. So, you know, good thing we came down here. We're just going to take a quick jaunt past the farm. It looks like I lost some of the sweet corn. That's okay. I think I'm short on seeds, unfortunately, so I might have to do a little bit of thieving here, actually, before I can head off and do the quest, because I do want to get a farm run in. Farming's really bad on this account. The lack of teleports basically means that I just have to kind of do farming when I walk by the places, which is kind of interesting, because for a long time in human history, that's just how farming was done, is that you didn't cut out, like, swaths of land to then turn into, you know, arable cropland. Instead, you just planted crops in places where they were already growing. And that worked for a really long time. And in fact, it was so effective that when settlers from the New World came over, they didn't recognize the agriculture that the Native Americans were using. Yes, I am short on seeds, so I'm going to have to, let's just get full rogue's outfit, some seeds. So sorry about the delay, but you know what? With the magic of editing, we can just get rid of all that time. But yeah, no, as I was saying, the New World form of farming was just so different than the Europeans were used to that they didn't even recognize. They were just romping through fields and destroying crops because they didn't even know that they were crops. I just find that really intriguing. Basically, like, what they would see are, you know, a few plants just among the forest and among the trees, and unless you knew exactly what those plants were, you wouldn't recognize it as farmland because it hadn't all been chopped down and it hadn't all been destroyed, and, you know, whatever. So I'm not sitting here romanticizing like, oh, Native Americans, you know, we're in perfect harmony with nature. It's like, no, that's not necessarily true. They weren't perfectly in harmony with nature and whatnot, but their form of farming was much more sustainable than the European form of farming, and harder to identify. So this style of farming that Medieval Guy's doing is actually a little bit more of a New World style, where he's not, you know, destroying land and creating specific, like, you know, areas to constantly farm. Instead, he's kind of roaming and planting things where they most make sense for how he travels around the area. So it's kind of interesting that I've accidentally recreated an ancient style of farming due to the limitations of the character. It's not exactly medieval, but it does kind of, you know, work in that hunter-gatherer society. I am almost never paying enough attention to notice when this happens, so here we go. Hey, there we go. Very nice. Got some fireworks on the account, looking nice. And we're just going to wrap up this farm run. I'm going to replace that with limpwort, because we do have the level for that, so we really should be growing limpworts every time we have the option. Growing Marintil in the herb patch, because I do want to level prayer eventually. Oh, now that I'm no longer a hardcore Iron Man, I'm a little less squeamish about possibly doing the Chaos Altar. Now, of course, that would require running up through wilderness, which, you know, obviously dangerous because, you know, you're going to lose your bones. But the thing is, most people use Burning Amulet to make it worth it. I can't do that. So like, what am I going to do? Run from Ferox Enclave? I mean, I guess I do have a low... Actually, my combat level's not that low anymore. 74. That's very much in target for that range. So I am having a little bit of trouble thinking about what my next, you know, leveling style is going to be. Level 15 Wilderness, so I could be attacked by level 90s. That is super common for, you know, PKers to hang around. So I'm kind of worried about that. I don't think that's going to be safe. You know, an inventory full of dragon bones takes about a half an hour for me to get. Now that I'm in Arduine, I actually kind of thought about this. I'm only one level off from getting Ardy Knights as an option for training feeding. So I'm really excited about that because that's going to be a lot of money. So pretty cool. Okay, now that we're ready to start the quest, I think now's a good time to kind of talk about the gear that I've been wanting to talk about. And that has to do with the leaf-bladed sword and the leaf-bladed weapons in general. If I go to my Slayer equipment and I take a look at it, it says level 55, leaf-bladed spear and sword, and leaf-bladed battle axe with 65 attacks. These are going to be some of the best weapons that we can get on the character. The leaf-bladed sword, of course, being equivalent to the dragon scimitar in almost every way once you have the defender along with it. Now, one thing that I think not enough medieval and fantasy games do is think about style. And I don't mean style in the sense of, what I look like. I mean, obviously, lots of games, focus on what they look like. Elder Scrolls Online, for example, has an entire costuming section where you can make all of your armor and gear look completely different, right? You can pay lots of in-game currency to make your stuff look different. And we can talk about, transmog equipment and blah, 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 till everybody's angry at each other. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to talk about actual crafting style and how you make something, right? So if we look at this weapon, this is obviously a curved sword.
They've got curved swords. Curved swords.
And that curved sword lends it a particular ability, a particular specialization. The shape of this sword determines what it is. This really is very similar to a medieval falchion. Okay, and you can see that there is a little bit of a cross guard here coming down over the hand, a little bit of a D guard there. Obviously, it has these like weird rings on the back that kind of silly. They don't really meet any kind of medieval crafting style, as far as I know. You know what? Actually, no. You know what those might be? Those might be staples holding it together. That might be representing repair work that's been done on the Brine Saber. Now that I'm thinking about it, metal staples were used all the time to repair equipment, and that's an extremely medieval attitude, is why replace it if you can fix it? So this might actually be an even better representation of a medieval weapon than I thought it was. This is a really great falchion, and a falchion is a big, heavy, nasty cutting implement. It is designed to come down and whack stuff with a big slashing attack. Okay, now the style of that slashing attack obviously matters quite a bit. We're actually going to attack this guard here just to kind of show you, right? So as I'm swinging this slashing, hacking weapon, he's wearing steel plate armor. This attack should be doing very little to him. And this is where I think games need to be thinking about style. RuneScape, the style that you attack with, ultimately really doesn't matter that much, right? Notice when I do chop, it's still a slash attack. If I do lunge, it's a stab attack. And you'll notice here that the animation's different, right? I'm stabbing, and you can see that doesn't look like it would work very well, right? The weapon is curved, and the tip is very broad, so it wouldn't really do any piercing damage, right? And this is where I think a lot of games can improve. A lot of games could think about the attack style of their weapon, and a lot of games could think about how it interacts with the armor that you're wearing. An armor that is made out of paper or made out of layers of fabric, like a gambeson, that would be much easier to deal with if you had a weapon that could puncture it and hurt the person underneath. Whereas plate armor, nothing you do, slashing, hacking, stabbing, nothing is going to get through it unless you have a very specialized weapon that is very heavy. And that's where the crush weapons would be useful. This sword would not get through, but if I had a mace, right, or a hammer, or a poleaxe, now we're talking. Okay, now we're talking about a weapon that can actually handle it. All right, whereas a crushing weapon otherwise might not be as effective against a padded gambeson. So it's something that we really need to think about, I think, in games, and this is where the leaf-bladed stuff comes into play. All right, a leaf-bladed axe. That is a real thing, or a leaf-bladed sword is a real thing. It is the style of the sword. It's the shape of the sword, okay? A curved sword is effective for one really particular reason, and that is basically geometry. When you take a flat weapon and you swing with it at a target. The flat edge of that weapon will impact the surface and spread the impact of that slice across the entire blade. Whereas a curved sword focuses all of that energy into one point. You can essentially stab by slashing. That's what makes curved weapons so cool. Additionally, in medieval combat, it was very common to grab your opponent's sword. You can do this. You can grab a flat-edged sword with your bare hand and actually wiggle it out of somebody's grasp if you're clever enough as a knight. However, if you try to do that with a curved sword, no matter how you apply pressure, part of your hand will be sliding down the blade. That means you cannot grab and pull or redirect a curved sword with your bare hand without cutting yourself. So it is both useful for attack and useful for defense. All right. So the leaf-bladed sword is really special because it actually combines the slashing abilities of something like a falchion or a saber with the stabbing abilities of something like a gladius or just regular arming sword, right? So the question comes down to, why didn't everyone use a leaf-bladed sword? Why didn't everyone use a sword that had a sort of flamboyant tip, that had a curved, forward section, but was straight all the way down the blade? And the reason is very simple. It's hard to make. It's just hard to make. I forgot my 5 coin for the bartender, so I had to come back and get it. When games do incorporate style or forging techniques into their armories, what they usually are focusing on is the aesthetics. And that's fine, that's cool. But really, if you think about it, most medieval people weren't too concerned about what their sword looked like. They just needed it to cut stuff. And yes, they did decorate their swords, but the blades were very simple. You did not mess with the blade. The blade had to be built right. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is because of, again, materials. You had iron and steel. That was it. And that iron and steel was oftentimes chunked together by many different pieces of iron or steel. There's an example of a crossbow limb that was made with as many as 40 different chunks of steel, all locked together through just hand forge welding. That is so dangerous. I mean, that thing could snap at any moment. And that is why they didn't really mess around too much with the construction of their blades. And that's why a leaf-bladed sword is so difficult. That parabolic shape is just so unique and so difficult to build. Even weaponsmiths today would struggle with that. And that's something that, doing by hand would just be very difficult. So video games, I think, should focus on less of the exotic materials, because if you build a hard stabby sword, it's gonna hard stabby every person exactly the same way, right? If a person does not have armor on, a steel or a copper knife will hurt them just as badly, right? It does not matter. If they're not wearing armor, their body will get punctured by that knife. Doesn't matter if it's copper, one of the softest metal. It could be lead. You could literally kill a man exactly the same way with a lead knife as you could with a steel knife, because flesh is not going to dull that blade ever. Bone will, sure, but at that point, a little too late, don't you think? Right? So making your blade out of star metal doesn't matter unless your person's armored in such a way that it prevents a steel blade from entering, but not a star metal blade or a runite blade or whatever. But that's just not the way it works, right? If something's made out of adamant or something's made out of mithril, it doesn't matter, right? It's going to be just as effective, not because of the material, but because of how those shapes interact. A very small puncturing blade is going to be able to push through mail and rip it apart. A strong, heavy poleaxe is going to be able to dent plate mail and hurt the person who's wearing it, right? That is ultimately what you need to focus on if you want realistic depictions of medieval combat in video games. All right. Oh no, Justin. Oh God. Oh, no, buddy. Alright, it's time to use my strength potion. Just gonna use a little attack potion. Say, didn't your mom date Shrek for a while? I'm gonna read this in my bad guy voice. Haha, well done. Well done. That was rather entertaining. I am the great General Kazad, and the two men you just saved are my property. I don't know how I feel about property. They belong to nobody. Good answer, buddy. You know, Sammy, this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't tried to save your dad. I probably could have just taken you back to your mom. You know, I mean, when you get a big strapping man like this guy right here, I mean, you gotta take what you can get. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think this thing would have natural plate armor, right? Like if this is D&D, it would have natural armor, resistance to slashing damage. With you, I just lost all sympathy for this guy. You know, I didn't have a lot to begin with, right? My well runs dry, I suppose. But in this case, I mean, really, just send in your dog to do your dirty work for you. Yeah, that's stuff. I don't like that. What's that, Fido? You want to go see Cerberus? Say hello for me. So see, a game could actually get rid of this entire concept of like protect from melee if they just incorporated the weapon styles more dramatically, right? You wouldn't have to protect from melee, because if you're wearing plate armor like this guy, you're essentially guaranteed to have full protection from slashing damage. If somebody comes up to you with a slashing weapon like this, like a scimitar or a saber, you could just completely ignore them, right? Because they're just gonna plink, plink, plink off your armor, right? But if you see a guy with a mace, now you have to be concerned, right? Likewise, this big sword here, right? I wouldn't be able to pray melee against this, right? I wouldn't be able to just ignore it. It's way too big, way too heavy. He could still really hurt me with a giant two-handed sword like that, right? This is actually about the size of an arming sword, maybe about 4 feet long. That's pretty reasonable for a knight to use. So I think that's actually a pretty good example of an arming sword. Okay, bye. Hope you find your way out of there. I guess just leaving him there. All I can offer in return is material wealth. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm 100% okay with material wealth. That's good. Anytime you want to offer me some material wealth, lady, you feel free to. Okay. In fact, I don't even have to do anything. If you want to give me some material wealth, you can just do so. Any material? You got any? Hi. Okay, so kind of a halfway break here. Just wanted to say sorry for not getting a video out sooner. It's just been crazy. I have a lot of things on my plate, a lot more than I thought I would have this summer. I've been really, really busy. So I just haven't been able to put out these videos and do the editing. But here I am putting out the video now, and I'm actually kind of putting two together here. I was going to do a second episode entirely dedicated to the Slayer grind, but here it is. I'm just tacking it right on, so enjoy. Okay, so I didn't give you guys a warning, but I am going to do something a little different here. I've got my strength up to 65, and we're about to get it to 66. And there we go, strength level 66, because that means we are now combat level 75. So we're going to actually take a trip over to Konar and try a Konar task, because we get way, way more points if we do a Konar task than if we do these Vanica tasks, which are only worth 4. That's just terrible, terrible point ratio. And the fact that I have to run all over the place anyway kind of doesn't give me much advantage going to Vanica. It kind of is basically the same as going to Konar, so I might as well just do that. Now, she can give me much more difficult tasks, and it is obviously a bit of a run, but it's a run no matter where I go. It's always problematic getting anywhere with this character, so I can't fairy ring in. I am going to have to run over there, which means taking the long way around. Alright, hello Konar, let's do this. Yes, I am a bringer of death and balance. I need an assignment. Let's do this. What are we going to get? 130 greater demons in the Brimhaven dungeon. Okay, that's a good task for me. Yeah, demon slaying. Alright, see you later, Konar. Thank you for the demon slaying task. I will get back to you when I am finished. Okay, so that was a quick demons task, and when I say quick, I mean it took me like 3.5 hours, but you know what? It's done now. It was honestly pretty clean. Unfortunately, no brimstone keys. Kind of disappointing, not gonna lie. I am now quite a few over the drop rate for that, so hopefully on the next task we'll get our RNG back. Alright, I did like doing that a lot better, though. It gave us a big chunk of points, and it got us another Slayer level, so we are well on our way to 50 Slayer, which is a big number. Hopefully we can just keep working this to 55 Slayer. Let's get a new one, Fire Giants.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Oh no. Okay. Alright, this is the task that we lost our hardcore Iron Man status to, so I'm having some flashbacks right now. And it is in Brimhaven Dungeon, so I guess right back to where I was. Fire Giants are actually kind of annoying because they hit very accurately. Unlike the demons that just kind of slap on you and don't really do much. The Fire Giants keep hitting you. So, I might want to actually range them. I don't know. I'll go do some melee, but if it's really annoying, I might switch to range. I am trying to get my melee stats up to 130, so I still have another 4 strength levels to go for that. So, you know, I am tempted to just make that happen, but at the same time, you know, I have to do this in a way that is actually reasonable. So, we'll see. Alright, and we have finished up our Fire Giants task. 124 of those dead. We got a prayer level in there too, which is kind of nice. And we hit 50 Slayers. So, our stats are kind of looking pretty good. We are only now 3 strength levels away from getting total 130 here, so we could then go to the Warriors Guild. Alright, so I'm going to head back to Konar now. A little disappointed we have not gotten a Brimstone Key yet in 2 rather large tasks. Yeah, we're about double the drop rate, unfortunately, which that kind of stinks. I was really hoping to end the episode on a Brimstone chest opening, but unfortunately that just didn't happen. Our Iron Man luck has not followed through. So we're just going to go back and end the episode on our next Konar task. Alright, and here we are to wrap up the episode with one last Konar task. I'm not going to complete it, I just want to find out what it is. So let's see here. Assignment. Water... Oh, water fiends is so annoying. Okay. I'm going to have to actually think about this one. This might be a skip. I have to really think about water fiends. I guess we'll find out next time on Medieval Guy what happens. But yeah, 50 Slayer, that's a big mark. I need 5 more Slayer. I need another 3 strength. We'll get that definitely as we're working on this Slayer. But yeah, big things happening on the account. I will get back to working on the spined armor eventually. It's just a real pain and it takes forever. So, you know, just kind of breaking that up so I don't get too bored on it. All right, if you enjoyed the episode, remember to like and subscribe and suggest it to your friends and whatnot. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
You see those warriors from Hammerfell? They've got curved swords. Curved swords.